because I'm Rob Chappers.
I'm the captain.
And I'm Martin.
And we're at Empire Studios here in sunny Guildfordshire.
We are, because we've just spent pretty much the last 6 hours with this dude here, checking out the amps that he designed earlier this year. So yes, we're here doing a Victory Amplification video day. And
it's been a lot of fun, hasn't it?
It's been insane.
And we've had lots of conversations where we've gone, stop, put it on camera, and then we've forgotten all of them.
We don't know what those are now.
Yeah, I know, one of them was about string gauges.
Oh, it was. Yes, lovely that was.
So we're going to try and break these videos up into 4 videos, so there's a separate video for each model amplifier, so you don't have to hear lots of waffle about stuff you're not interested in. And the first one we're going to talk about is the V100, the Duke.
Yeah,
yes.
That's a hell of an amplifier, isn't it? When we were upstairs here tracking a little bit of recorded guitar, left and right and central, we could feel it through the floorboards in quite a pleasant way, actually.
So Martin, tell us about the V100 is like the flagship of the range. So what's the sort of, what's the overview of kind of the tones and the features and the type of guitar player that you think is going to buy a V100?
Well, hopefully it's suitable for everyone, really. I mean, if you're a blues player, you can get some blues tones, and you can get the clean channel to sort of crunch up quite nicely all the way around if you want it to.
Yeah.
But I suspect it'll be the rockers and the metal players that they'll be wanting to.
Of which you are one.
Oh, I probably am a little bit, yeah.
Well, because that's the V100's got a more sort of liquidy kind of gain structure.
It's saturated,
to it, isn't it?
Even at low levels, the gain is a saturated kind of gain. Yeah, it's very smooth.
Yeah.
But what's the thinking back? Because it's probably not like a vintage amp freak fan, is it? I mean, it's more of a sort of liquid. So how do you get that kind of gain structure in an amp?
Cascading various valve stages, but I always like to have an amp, and I think I speak for a lot of guitar players. They like to have an amp that they haven't got to fight with.
Yeah.
So if they're used to their guitar and they can play their guitar and they know what they can get from their guitar, they don't then want to have to alter their technique just to get it to come out the amp. So they want their amp to not cover their mistakes or anything like that, but help them do their job, and enjoy playing it, because it's as much as anything, it's about sound, but it's about how it feels in your hand. I often say that to people, and it's about the feel.
The great thing about you, Martin, is that not only do you design some of the best amplifiers in the world, in my opinion, but you also play ridiculously well like this.
So I've heard this story before, but I always think, as Chappers just alluded to, there's a lot of amazing guitar amplifiers in the world that are designed by guys that actually don't really play the guitar, which I always find ironic. But Martin does play the guitar. So where are your kind of guitar playing influences?
Obvious, I think perhaps the sort of Van Halen. I think he was he's my favourite, at least, or one of my favourites, and one of my early influences. But a thing that I liked about Van Halen wasn't just the fact that he was an amazing guitar player and definitely changed guitar playing as we know it today. But the other thing is his sound fascinated me, even though probably at the time I just started playing the guitar. sort of rock bands, or Van Halen was one of the first rock bands. But then I liked the other end of things, like Peter Green, where you get this lovely tone coming from an amp, you know, and fingers, where he would just play, and sometimes not even pick a note, but just put his finger on it to get the tone to come out.
Yeah.
And so all of these things, and there was the likes of Michael Schenker with his half-cocked wah pedal, that fascinated me. Gary Moore just had this energy that he managed to come out, you know, to get it to come out of the amp without it being a mess. You know, he managed to channel that fire.
But then surprisingly, people like Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah. I mean, again, you know, another one of my favourites, and you know, for lots of subtle reasons, not just the fact that he can shred like nobody's business, but he does it with a passion, and things like his vibrato and his tone, as well as his, you know, his ability to play the guitar. You know, he's got a lot of other good things going on that some people miss.
This is explaining a lot about your kind of clean tones and your brown sound, saturated gains, because you can hear your influences in the amplifiers that you design, and I'm thinking the gain structure especially on the V100.
So the V100 is two channels.
Yeah.
But where I think guitar players will find versatility from is that the gain channel has a foot switchable boost to sort of send it into
a pseudo third channel there. Really.
What's happening? Is it an extra valve stage kicking in for that boost channel, or is
it's just a little bit more signal coming from the first gain stage.
Right.
So it's attenuated sort of deliberately to get a crunchy sound, a fat crunchy sound, and then you let it all through when you switch in the boost.
Nice.
So
you're holding back that extra bit of glass.
Yeah, I was going to say. So for glass fans, how many AX7s are in the preamp stage of a V100?
In the preamp stage, there are 3.
Yeah.
And then there's 5. So that's a total of 6 gain stages, 5 of which are used for the overdrive channel. One's the effects return.
Yeah.
Then you've got 1 in the power amp stage, as you will have, you'll need to have in an amp like that, and then you've got 1 driving the reverb.
So we've got 2 channels with a boost on the gain channel.
Yeah.
Then what I like about this is there are 2 master volumes.
Yeah.
So I suppose you start with your 3 sounds from the preamp section, and then any of those 3 sounds can be at 2 different volumes.
Yeah.
All foot
Anyone
switchable.
can be your solo sound if you're playing.
So you've almost got like 6 sounds, as well as a very clever dual effects loop. So the V100 is very much the sort of all singing, all dancing amplifier. I've seen, and so will anybody that's a fan of the Victory Facebook page, seen some internal shots of the Victory range. Now, obviously, these are, we're calling these, or you're calling these, they're made in the UK and they're a hand-wired amplifier. But I noticed on the internal shots of the Victory that the internally it's a combination of hand-wired components and also a couple of PCB sections in there.
Yeah.
So just put everyone's mind at rest that how is define, if you like, why the PCBs have been used and what they're for. And
it's just the sorts of components you need for channel switching and the certain things to keep channel switching quiet, because if you're using relays, which is a good device for channel switching because it's definitely on or off, but they do clonk.
Mm-hmm.
So any sort of components which I feel belong on a PCB and not on a turret board or a tag board have gone on there, because otherwise people look inside and it. Some people think it's quirky, some might think it looks like an electronics project, which you don't want people.
You mean on an amp that's completely hand wired, or
yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
And that is very often why a completely hand wired amplifier, they don't have so many features because they like to keep things pure, but then sometimes that can sort of make the amp perhaps lack versatility. So I want to offer versatility as well as the hand wired toned circuitry where sensible.
Giving the best of both worlds. So they've got the sort of the tone and the reliability of a hand wired sort of tone circuit, if you like,
anything,
but with the flexibility and the cost savings involved with using PCBs for the switching and
I just think it's a reliable way. If you want to put a relay, that's designed to go on a printed circuit board, you should put it on a printed circuit board instead of have it hanging there on bits of wire and glue. It's not good, really.
So we've mentioned that there are PCBs involved, and we mentioned that they're hand wired. We haven't specifically said which country that they're manufactured in or anything about the manufacturing side.
Where's my Union Jack?
So where are these made, man?
Here in the UK.
Support the British economy. Tell us about the story about how it was decided whether or not to load these with 6L6s or EL34s.
I was there.
You were?
So it was very, very exciting.
Yes. That was Guthrie Govan, who's one of our first endorsees, thought that he was an EL34 man, and preferred the sound in his mind of that British EL34 sort of sound, but given the chance to A/B between 6L6s and EL34s, he actually preferred the 6L6s.
What you're not mentioning is we did it blind tested him, didn't we?
Yes,
we didn't let him know that it was which was which was a bit cruel, but very fun.
Well, no, because then you get the honest opinion. Which do you prefer?
He was quite surprised, wasn't he?
He was surprised.
He said in the Guitarist magazine interview he did recently, I think he found that again the 6L6s fitted more with the sort of the Stephen Wilson project that he was doing, and I think even he mentioned again that idea that all the notes became kind of easier to play and easier to sustain, so it wasn't that kind of fight that perhaps he was used to with an EL34 based amplifier, which he still likes, and I think the one he's using in the Aristocrats is 34 based, right. But for the Stephen Wilson thing, it's but although of course one of the cool things on the V100 is you can just change them, can't you? If you prefer.
Yeah, if you prefer EL34s, there's a bias switch which will only get you in the ballpark.
Yep.
You still need to bias it properly. You still need to get a tech to put it on an oscilloscope and do it properly.
Okay.
Or there are quick ways of doing it as well, which I can.
Cool. mint looking amplifier. I think all the Victory amps look very, very cool. Sounds amazing. Really enjoyed shooting all the videos of it today. Had a lot of fun with that
Really
V100.
enjoyed abusing them here at Empire Studios.
At Empire Studios. So thanks again for coming in, Martin.
I've been Rob Chappers.
And I've been the captain.
And I've been Martin Still.
Bye. I'm about to write a riff over this loop just to track some guitars and give you the idea of how a Victory amplifier, for example in this case the V100, would sound tracked here at Empire Recording Studios with my friend Sam. There you go, Sam. Essentially this is going to be a backing track for you crazy kids to enjoy playing with. I want to make sure I'm in standard tunage. How's that sound?
So, a bar in, here we go.
I can see. Now I'll do a single line desaturated tone with a bit less mid and a bit more bass.